What's up, Rangers? Over the Geek Chest. My name's Steve, and today I've had a bunch of requests since we last did like a how to touch up your figure video. Which that one I went over how I usually like tighten joints with floor polish or even nail polish, stuff like that. I've had a bunch of requests on how to fix snap joints, which I had this guy that I've had for a while. Just super glued his foot back on, pop back off, gets kind of annoying. I want it to stay on for... I want this to be the last time I need to glue it in. Best way to say it. Also, recently I had a Revoltech Jehute to take a nosedive off the table, so I gotta get these more secure, which, yeah, I could probably just super glue that, but again, I want to make sure it's gonna stay on permanently this time. And then I also have my custom kaiju girl I did. I gotta touch her up, so we're going to figure out what the heck was just slimy on her. It's almost like oil. Weird. Gonna fix the back of her head. So we're gonna make sure that the hair stays on her that permanently. And all this is gonna be the exact same thing. The only things you'll really need to do this, you can also do this if the joint's big enough to try to save the joint. Which, because I already glued this wouldn't be a good example for you. I guess I could probably break the other foot off and then show you guys that way, but I don't want to test the strength of this guy, because the Jaegers for NECA weren't quite as durable as the Kaijus, from my experience. But I'll show you guys how to do a little bit more of a permanent fix for these ones anyways. That, and again, you can use it for joints, but like this joint might be a little bit harder to do. This would be only really recommended on thicker joints. Which what I'm going to do is use this Dremel. We're going to make some holes. We're going to take some paper clips, insert them into the holes, and use this as our reinforcement. Now, if you don't have access to paper clips, you could also use toothpicks if you wanted. A little bit thicker, but because they're wood, they do break a little easier, so you got to take that into consideration. You could also use safety pins if you wanted to too. But pretty much, I recommend trying to use something metal and something relatively thin. Now, generally it all depends on the hole, which I guess we'll start with him here. What I usually do is I want to try to line it up with the snap portion of the foot here. So I gotta take the drill bit and I gotta get a hole in here and a hole in there. Now, best way to line this up, and you can get this to where you kind of want it to sit snug, is wherever I put it. There we go. Got a paintbrush here. You could also use like a paint pen or something, but I just take the brush, a little bit of paint, dab where I kind of want the center of my hole to be. Well, not kind of, where I want the center of my hole to be. Take your foot, line it up. Want it about there. And that wasn't quite a good example. My paint ain't transferring. It's doing it a little bit. Try it out again. Got little white dots on each of them, so that gives me my pretty much my registry dot. So when I drill, that's essentially where my center is going to be. So now take your Dremel. These, for the most part, like I use this cordless one. I kind of like it for using for toys, because I can also just take it around the house wherever I need to. These are fairly inexpensive and something that's fairly nice to get if you guys buy a lot of toys, because they're helpful to fix things. But take your drill, low setting. Oh, also, I guess before I get into it, you're also going to want to make sure you got the right drill bit on there. So depending on the width of the thing that you are drilling is what you're going to be needing the drill bit. And essentially I just kind of line it up. If you think that, like, if you have a hard time eyeballing this, you can always go with the smaller drill bit. Like, go with the smallest one you think might work. You can always go smaller. If it doesn't fit in, you work up. Because if you start it too big, you kind of not so well after that. So make sure to use a smaller drill bit if you're not very confident with it. But for the most part, I know this one here is the size of a paperclip. Then just steady hands, line it up, clean it up a bit. Plastic didn't in my hole. No. One more time, shall we? think there we go. Same with the foot here. Take it. Drill it in. Now, after having our 2 holes made, I guess I should probably use the one I already did. So, just going to cut a piece off. Gonna need some wire cutters for that. I just got these little ones here. Yeah. Insert it into the foot. Make sure it's in there pretty decently. Now I know I have it too big, but I'm just making sure that it's going to work. That's probably the best thing I can say, at least for me, is I just kind of eyeball it. It's not exact science, because for the most part, it doesn't have to be a tight fit when you put it in, but because all it's really there for is just adding some added, giving it some added support. There we go. So now you can see foot's attached. Pop it back out real quick. Add some glue. I like me some Loctite. A little bit of a squeeze. Because if you're doing this for an articulated joint, you're gonna have to be less liberal about it. But I definitely want this thing to stay on afterwards. So we're going a little thicker. There we go. I just wait for it to dry. It should be good. Got it flush with the front, just kind of like how this foot's going on. It's a little bit more stable now. It's got a couple of connecting points, so should be good. We'll test it out here once it dries. So it'll probably be tomorrow when I come back to this. Next, hoping I can do that with you. Take my drill. Right to there. Drill to the back of her head, giving her a small lobotomy. So we go. And then I had that extra little piece of wire, but again, just cut a little bit off. See if it's too long, and then you just kind of keep checking it until you're good. Hold it in, let it glue for a minute. Sorry, my furnace just kicked on in the background. Now, I have a little bit more sturdiness to her. The problem is like it would flick a little bit and the glue seam would break. Because the only thing really keeping this connected was just literally glue, so now there's a little bit of added reinforcement. Alright, then you guys can see here me just drilling the hole for the Jehute, and then we're going to be inserting the paper clips, gluing them in. Make sure to be a little bit light on the glue, because you don't want to have any overage of the glue. And then just make sure to hold on to it for about like 15 or 30 seconds and just keep a tight fit, and then you should be alright. Alright, so gave it a little bit of time, but as you can see, seems pretty sturdy to me. So let's sit this back on the back of Jehute. The only issue I really have with this figure, review-wise, is he doesn't really stand up very well by himself. Because even this has like added support base plus his knees. But because of the weight, it sometimes likes to buckle. But seems like it's doing okay right now. Like it's holding the weight. It's not popping off. Try Tesseronin. Seems to be standing appropriately. Not breaking off, which is what I wanted to see. So, doing pretty good there. Last but not least, head's rotating. Nothing's coming off. So yeah, if you guys need a little bit of a stronger fix, definitely recommend doing that. It's pretty simple to do. Like, oops, kicking things on the ground. The only real complicated thing you need is the Dremel, but most of the rest of the stuff's pretty easy, and you can pick up even plug-in off-brand ones for like 15-ish bucks at Walmart. So definitely recommend. If you guys collect figures, this thing comes in handy, especially if you modify figures as well. Also works really nicely there too. But anyways, let me know in the comment section below if there's anything you guys like to see in particular. If I could maybe try to help with some extra stuff. For the most part, a lot of these videos just kind of like when I got something that I got to fix, I can show you guys. But outside of that, like I'd like to show how to fix some like joints and stuff, like actual joints. I know one of these days I got to work on the con upstairs. Like, it's not officially broke, but the joints could be a little bit tighter, so I kind of want to fix that. But that one's actually, like, I have to redo joints, and that'd be me having to remake that specific joint to do it. So, that'd be, like, whenever I get some extra time. But anyways, help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button, subscribe, become a Ranger today, click that notification to keep up to date with the channel, and see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.